Good morning again, everyone. We welcome you to our Friday morning session. And before I turn the time over to Sandy Day, I just want to express gratitude again for all who have participated in the conference, speakers, presenters, and those are the ones that sit here, but for everyone that sits up here, there's 40 or 50 people working behind the scenes to make this all look really, really smooth. So thank you all for your contributions and your participation. I would like to introduce to you Sandy Day, U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, Chief of Public Affairs, who will manage the rest of our meeting this morning. So Sandy, please, it's all yours.
Good morning. Let me step back. Okay. Please give a round of applause for President Shawcroft for putting on this year's CRWUA. It has been a very successful event, and I'm here so we can rock out on Federal Friday. So, as he said, I'm your MC for today, and on behalf of the Bureau of Reclamation, thank you for your partnership and your support as 2024 has been a stellar year. And together, we are all working to protect the Colorado River system. I want to extend our thanks to the entire CRWUA team for another highly successful conference. And before we really dig in, I want to go ahead and address the 400-pound elephant in the room. Yes, there is one here. It's Friday. You've had a long conference. You had a stellar last night. Bear with me, please bear with me, and I will get you out of here and on a plane by 10 a.m. So, pick it up, and we're going to get started. So for more than, also, if you don't mind, silencing your phones because this is being recorded. And I look good on stage and, the talking and the beeping that may go on. Silence your phones. Thank you. For more than 122 years, the Bureau of Reclamation has sustained its mission across the 17 western states with solutions granted in partnership and collaboration. This core principle guides our work as we use every tool and every resource to protect the stability and sustainability of the system. Federal Friday has been our opportunity at Reclamation to highlight and solidify our partnerships, and this Federal Friday is no different. We have several important discussions today, which includes opening remarks by Principal Deputy Secretary for Water and Science, Michael Brain. We have two dialogues for you. Ms. Heather Tanana, Visiting Professor of Law, UC Irvine School of Law, will moderate the sovereign-to-sovereign dialogue with the Colorado River tribes. And then Ms. Sally Speener, Secretary of the U.S. Section with the International Boundary and Water Commission, will moderate the sovereign-to-sovereign dialogue of the Mexico partners in the United States. And then we will wrap this conference at around 9:45. We will bring on a lady that I really don't need to reintroduce to you, but I will. It will be the 24th Commissioner of Reclamation, Ms. Camille Kalemlim Tootin. So with that, Pete Asbrain has served in a variety of positions in the United States House of Representatives, including as counsel for the Subcommittee on Water Resources and the Environment. As a professional staffer for the Subcommittee on Energy and Water Development Appropriations, in these roles he developed funding bills that support national water infrastructure, agriculture, and climate resilience across the nation. He was most recently the Deputy Commissioner at one point for the Bureau of Reclamation. He is now the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Water and Science. Pete Asbrain.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you, Sandy, very much for the introduction. Thank you for everything you do for the organization. And thank you, Jean, for your leadership. Thank you for everything you do to make this week possible, and thank you for everything you do for the region. It's an honor to be here with you today for Federal Friday. As you know, it's a long-standing CRWUA tradition in which the Department of the Interior and the Bureau of Reclamation join tribal, international, and domestic partners to provide critical insights and collaborate on paths forward for the Colorado River Basin. CRWUA really does embody the spirit of resilience and collaboration that we so desperately need as we navigate the challenges facing America's hardest working river. As we gather, we're reminded of the profound responsibilities that we share in managing one of the most vital resources in the American West, the Colorado River. For over 122 years, as Sandy mentioned, the Bureau of Reclamation has been at the forefront of delivering water and power for our Western communities. However, you all know the challenges that we face today are unprecedented. The drought gripping much of the West has underscored the urgent need for collaboration, innovation, and strategic investment to adapt to the realities of climate change. At the outset this morning, I want to recognize the announcement we made on November 20th, unveiling the next phase of the strategy for post-2026 operations. Each of the 5 alternatives proposed for analysis is designed to address a diverse range of hydrologic conditions in the basin. These alternatives, importantly, have incorporated feedback from basin states, tribes, cooperating agencies, and non-governmental organizations, reflecting a truly comprehensive dialogue with all the stakeholders. Among these options is a basin hybrid alternative, which synthesizes elements from various proposals to foster coordinated operations and enhance consensus among partners. The proposed alternatives aim to ensure the long-term stability of the Colorado River, a vital resource for communities and ecosystems alike. As the region grapples with the impacts of climate change, the driest period in over a millennium, the administration has committed to enhancing resilience through significant strategic investments. President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act and bipartisan infrastructure law collectively represent the largest federal investment in climate resilience in United States history, allocating $15.4 billion for Western water initiatives alone, including over $5 billion dedicated to nearly 600 projects specifically in the basin. This comprehensive approach underscores this administration's commitment to safeguarding the system, ensuring that it continues to support the livelihoods and the well-being of all who depend on it. And as stakeholders work towards consensus agreement, these proposed alternatives will serve as a critical framework for sustainable water management in years to come. With the funding allocated for Western water projects, we have unprecedented resources to enhance our water management strategies. This funding is not just a number, it's a lifeline. It's a lifeline for our communities, our ecosystems, and our economies. In 2024, this year alone, Bureau of Reclamation obligated $5.6 billion in funding. That's more than any year in our history. This is a testament to our commitment to addressing the challenges we face and the hard-working natures of the professionals of the Bureau of Reclamation. Through the bipartisan infrastructure law, we have funded projects totaling over $4 billion aimed at enhancing drought resilience, rehabilitating aging infrastructure, and restoring ecosystems across dozens of communities. The Inflation Reduction Act has further empowered us, funding over 230 projects at $2.5 billion, enabling both short and long-term strategic investments to protect the system. We've made significant strides. Over the past 2 years, through partnership with many of you in this room, we've conserved 1.6 million acre-feet of water, the largest water conservation program in U.S. history. By the end of the year, we will have conserved 2 million acre-feet, well on our way to meeting ambitious goals of 3 million acre-feet of water by 2026. This isn't just a statistic. It represents the collective efforts of our partners, stakeholders, and communities, everyone here in this room, who has come together. One of the most significant agreements we entered into is Minute 330 with Mexico under the 1944 Water Treaty, which will conserve 400,000 acre-feet of water, equivalent to raising Lake Mead's water surface elevation by about 5 feet by the end of 2026. I'd like to thank the Bureau of Reclamation for their efforts, in particular Deputy Commissioner David Palumbo for his important work. This collaboration and this work exemplifies the power of partnership and the importance of working together across borders to address our challenges. Our approach has been rooted in an all-of-government strategy, engaging federal agencies, local partners, and communities to enhance the drought resilience of the West. To that end, the Department of Agriculture has invested billions in projects that conserve, reuse, and enhance water resources. The Corps of Engineers has funded initiatives that increase water availability while reducing consumption. And EPA has leveraged over $9 billion in the past 2 years alone to provide drought relief and infrastructure improvements to Western communities. However, our commitment to collaboration goes beyond just federal agencies. Under Commissioner Tooten's leadership and in partnership with you, we established the first federal tribal state forum in the Colorado River Basin to ensure that everyone has a seat at the table, including 30 tribal nations who have often not been recognized as the partner that they are in this effort. The reclamation team has participated in over 30 government-to-government consultations since 2022, ensuring that tribal voices are heard in critical decisions regarding long-term operations in the Colorado River. I, along with Commissioner Tooten, Deputy Commissioners Sanchez and Palumbo, have had the privilege of visiting many of the Colorado River tribes, gaining valuable insights into their perspectives, needs, and these visits have reaffirmed our commitment to working together and remind us of the work that remains. This initiative is crucial for making decisions that are responsive to the present and future needs of our tribal partners. And this is not exclusive to the Colorado River Basin. Tribal engagement importantly continues to be central to our planning operations in additional basins, including the Trinity, Klamath, Columbia, Rio Grande, and others. We recognize that we need everyone at the table to prepare for the future. The work we do is not just professional, it's personal for us. And when we talk about ensuring sustainable, safe, and abundant water supply, we're doing it for our families, our neighbors, and the constituents we serve across the West. We're doing it for, and crucially, we're doing it with you. Climate change challenges our operations on every front, from hydropower production to water allocations and protecting sensitive ecosystems. But hand in hand with you, with our partners, we're building the infrastructure for a sustainable future. And it's important that we reflect on our progress. We must also acknowledge the challenges that remain. Recent years of improved hydrology have provided relief, but scientific projections warn us of a drier future. Reclamation's most recent projections indicate that we might reach critically low elevations at Lake Powell as early as 2026. The longer-term trends are even more concerning. We urge each of you to leave this conference with a clear focus on the actions that we must take to secure a future for the Colorado River system, one that not only staves off the immediate threats, but establishes long-term sustainable guidelines for decades to come. It's imperative that we work collaboratively to develop innovative and flexible operating guidelines, that we provide improved predictability of water availability and enhance opportunities for conservation. Long-term stability is worth the sacrifices being made today. The responsibility of protecting our collective system rests with everyone who relies on it. We must focus on the shared goal of ensuring a sustainable future for the basin. The work will continue. The career leaders at the Bureau of Reclamation are committed. They will continue to invest significant federal resources provided through the Biden-Harris Investing in America agenda. and they will support technical modeling to explore a full range of reasonable alternatives that can ensure long-term stability in the system. They will promote unity, inclusivity, and transparency, ensuring that all sovereigns are involved in critical decisions regarding the basin. Together, we can protect the Colorado River and sustain the communities, economies, and ecosystems that depend on it. The past 2 years have demonstrated this. They've shown us what we can achieve when we work together. In closing, I want to express my gratitude for your partnership and my profound gratitude for the professionals at the Bureau of Reclamation, including Commissioner Tootin. The work we do is not possible without your commitment, your sacrifices, and your collaboration. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary Michael Breen. As promised, we are going to keep moving. I'd like to welcome to the stage Ms. Heather Tanana. She's a citizen of the Navajo Nation and dedicated to promoting indigenous rights. And she is a nationally recognized researcher and educator focusing on the intersection of the environment, health policy, and federal law. Ms. Heather Tanana.
Hey, and I know I'm being joined by 3 amazing tribal leaders. Go ahead and come to the front. President Nygren, Governor Lewis, and Chairman Hart. We're on such a tight schedule, and I'm just actually going to sit here with the panelists this morning. I can tell you, I'm very confident you'll be glad that you stayed. This is a newer session, bringing in the tribal leaders and their perspectives. If we see if Jason, yeah, Governor Lewis is coming up, wonderful, and Danae friends, get President Nygren up here. Just because of the time, there was a little introduction that I wanted to do, and I want to keep us on track, so I'll go ahead and do that while we get our leaders up joining. There's 30 tribes across the basin. Today, we have leadership from Ute Mountain Ute, located in the upper basin, Gila River Indian Community, located in the lower basin, and Navajo Nation that crosses into both the upper and lower. Governor Lewis was raised on Gila River Indian Community. He's in his 3rd term serving as governor, previously served as lieutenant governor. He oversees the implementation of the community's water settlement of 2004, which at that time was the largest water settlement of its kind in U.S. history. Governor Lewis advocates for renewable and green technologies guided by the tribe's agricultural history and cultural teaching. And he's active in bringing innovative solutions to their community, providing educational opportunities for the youth. Fun fact, Governor Lewis was the first Native film curator for the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah, was an associate producer for the groundbreaking and critically acclaimed documentary Native Americans. President Nygren took office last year in January 2023, raised by a single mother, discovered a love to build by his uncles, learning carpentry to build dog houses, sheds, and eventually framing houses. He previously served as Chief Commercial Officer for Navajo Engineering and Construction Authority, has been recognized as a top Native leader, and committed himself to securing the basic necessities of life, water, power, roads for Navajo people. Fun fact for President Nygren, his birthday's on Christmas, and he has skateboarded with Tony Hawk. Chairman Hart was raised on the Ute Mountain Ute Reservation in Towac, Colorado. He's committed 26 years to his tribe, 12 on council and 14 as chairman. Strong advocate for all aspects of his community, healthcare, education, housing, water, economic development. He also has been recognized for his leadership and service by many organizations, sits on various boards and commissions, such as the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs, Utah Tribal Leaders, Albuquerque Area Indian Health Board, etc. His fun fact is he has 6 children and 18 grandkids. So before I get into the discussion, I really want to lay a framework of where we're starting from. We just wrapped up Native American Heritage Month in November, and yet I continue to be shocked by how little the average American knows about Indigenous people. I was recently in Rapid City, South Dakota earlier this year, and when I was walking around downtown, a teenager in front of me turned to his family and exclaimed, "I didn't know there were still Indians here today." I thought, oh my gosh, yeah, there's one right behind you, right? Native Americans, they are the original inhabitants of what is now known as the United States. And a dark history follows foundation of this country. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is R-rated stuff. Massacres of communities, elders, women, and children. Next time you're in Denver, I encourage you to check out the Sand Creek Massacre exhibit. The Cheyenne and Arapaho were not alone in their experience. It was very hard for me to go to that exhibit. And in fact, one of my other Dene colleagues couldn't do it. He said it was too traumatic, but I felt like I had to witness their experience. Many tribes were betrayed in their trust of the federal government. Many tribes were removed and restricted to reservation. Our children were kidnapped under the guise of education, but those kids didn't learn a valuable education or vocation skills, and many of them never came home. Our tribal water rights were recognized in 1908 in a seminal case of U.S. v. Winters, but the first tribal water rights weren't quantified till 55 years later in Arizona versus California. We still have unquantified tribal water rights today in the basin. The quantified estimated 25% of the annual river flows, a lot of that's underutilized because of lack of infrastructure, which is creating barriers for economic growth, public health, survival. Literally everything requires water in some form or another. Tribes weren't part of the compact in 1922 and were left out of much of the early river management. This is where I want to turn. Times are changing and they have changed. And this panel is a testament to that. When you walk around out in the hallways, who's here today? It's looking different, and thank goodness. There's so much progress to be celebrating, and yet much remains. So I want to begin this session focusing on the present and the future. And to that end, hopefully start on a positive note with opportunities. What are some of the greatest opportunities for tribes right now? What are some of the successes that they can share? And so with that, I'm going to go and turn ahead and we'll get a discussion going here with my partners. Does anyone want to start with an opportunity to share? Chairman Hart?
Good morning, everyone. Every one of you today, it's an honor to be here. It is something that we have to come to reality today, that you want me to go into the opportunities that we have is at hand right now. We are at the 11th hour, and tribes own 30% of the, or have Aboriginal rights to 30% of the water in the Colorado River Basin. And their projects are a key in their development of becoming self-sufficient. A lot of people think that the government is always taking care of them. That's not really the case. We as tribes look at opportunities, whether it's priorities in healthcare, housing, education, especially economic development, and really trying to look at how we can try to move forward. So really appreciate each and every one of you coming today. The opportunities that we have today is, if we look forward toward the future, there's plenty of opportunities for tribes in the Colorado River Basin. We as tribes have to exercise our sovereignty as tribal governments. We have requested to have a seat at the table, and today we do. We have put our tribal government's ideas on the table, and always looking out toward our membership and what their needs are, especially the ones that are not here yet. We always look toward them to take care of them, to have the same equity and access to clean water. We can share all the same vision through partnerships from Upper Basin, Lower Basin. The tribes are a key partner in helping to develop certain things. Right now, we've looked at the federal reservoirs, Meade, Powell, the ones that are in Upper Flaming Gorge, Blue Mesa, Navajo. All of these have that inherent right from tribes to be a part of it. So there's a proposal that's coming out that we too should be a part of the reservoirs as a portion of the water rights within these reservoirs. So things that we can look at opportunities. But before we get to these opportunities, we must first quantify our water rights. And then we have to develop them. Right now, currently, there's unused water that's being going down the river, and we really need to develop them and have that opportunity. And then the last one, I think, is to compensate. A lot of farmers, ag side, municipalities have got compensated, and we need to have that same equity for tribes and the opportunity to utilize. And we must look at what the supply and demand is. I know that the lower portion, as was mentioned in one of the conferences or one of the panels yesterday, was that the lower basin uses about three-fourths of the water based on ag, municipal use, as a bigger population and the need for it. The upper basin is also wanting to have that same equity and access to these 5 uses that we need, but especially tribes. So with that, I thank you for this opportunity to give me this question, and I look forward to working with partnership with each other as tribes, with the 7 states, the Bureau of Reclamation, including the country of Mexico, also the opportunities with NGOs, and also looking at future funding opportunities. I do understand, and I think we all do, that it's easier said than done, than it is actually put into reality. But that is why we're here every year at this CRWUA conference, to make us move forward in a better and positive way. So with that, thank you.
Yat benen hedini dalis anot ende hoat khobanat enigido het olan jono nast hodes jijo denebe denit lido le no shi hoal khikhe ratit ahido ahuije na neshbeket khadado kahigido horoya nidi shdet she bunaigrun in shia khatshi nien shlenat oze basis chindo thodchi ni das chedo nat oze dashnala hot oe denen shle arobatlina ash enige hashlishnin lendo ashin yash chindo no da khatshi ni da chedo but ane da banala hot o stanen lendo gatit ahin lo hot o belse kedo bedinachin khalchin na kit khadit ish تأيد خاب ناخي دوس لا ينيري أصلا بناخي جو هتو أكهن كديني دولس هذا شين ده هيسوق يا نزغا ده شين نشبنيه هيد أولا بتسنش كليج ننجي بكادي جهيد أولا جنو ناس دي دس كان جنو كده هت إندولس لاشين كوشي ناخي شتدي ناخي لاشين مثلا رو تشيدو يت لاشين نزتين بداخي جو تأتي هذا كده هت شيء عارض نبكي بكادة خانية هتو يات بنن كديني دول دارونات آني دايت لنجي chairman هارت كهد ديني دول إخوان مهين غنيجي دو بني ناتشلو هتو يدغو كده هنات إنجي جونو سكيل ديل لشن سون خانسس كيس على خدو سو Governor Lewis يات ديني دول go Devils this weekend شلونيا شيء حسدا شيء not net Saturday Texas did Aro خدوية moderator in lenigi كهن ديني دولة نن lenigi دو دكويجوشي غديت آهن lenigi بني نتش نانش بكيت غدي نهجم aro يو توج هوز دو دكويجوشي كيدا هنوت إنجي نات آني دان lenigi إيشي خدو نك أشي دو تسكيل هاستي دولة دو تخات ناس دولة دو بيش ماس أند دان lenigi aro سو هو شنداد نشجيرا خدو Ethel Branch غديت آهيت سو lenigi دنبه واشنطن يا ناس نشجي aro خدو Peter Becker, but that no, they promised me subtitles, so hopefully you got all of that. So again, good morning to each and every one of you. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I think CRWUA is one of those conferences where we come together, and the main theme of this is how do we continue to have access to all of the communities that are affected, whether it's indigenous, whether it's Navajo, whether it's the different tribes that are associated with water. So again, I commend each and every one of you for being here on this wonderful Friday morning. I think you guys all passed the test. You're here at 8:30 a.m. In Las Vegas, I almost said Las Vegas, New Mexico, so Las Vegas, Nevada. So again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your daily dedication, your commitment to everything related to water, to figure out how can we all collectively live together, thrive together, and at the same time have ourselves be able to plan for the future. So that's the theme of my administration as Navajo Nation president. As mentioned, I've been president 23 months now, so almost 2 years. So it's been a wonderful experience to be on this side of the table, to be able to put your education, your experience, and then the people that I represent. I represent about 400,000 plus people, 200,000 plus people that live on the reservation at this moment, 17.5 million acres, thousands and thousands of our Navajo people continue to have to go every day. There's thousands of Navajo families this morning had to heat up some water this morning. They might actually had to go to the windmill, even though they're not supposed to be drinking the windmill, but that's the only access to water that they have. So this morning, you probably had kids that got ready on the Arizona side, the New Mexico side, the Utah side, that really had to try to figure out how do I get ready for school, because a little bit of background about myself. I grew up without water, running water. The first time I got running water was at Manzanita campus on ASU. So I was a freshman at ASU, and that was the first time I actually had access to running water. And it was one of those experiences where I said, you know, I don't have to bring in water in the morning, boil it, and wash my face, and figure out how to make sure we can serve on a day-to-day basis. So again, and that's what each and every one of you are fighting for every single day is how can every single American, whether it's Navajo, Native American, that we can all be successful together. So I commend you on that part because I know what that means to me, and that was the main theme of why I became Navajo Nation president was how do we build the basic infrastructure on the Navajo Nation so that we can thrive, so that we can truly start exercising what it means to be sovereign, what does it mean to help and sustain and be there for your people. But nothing can be developed, nothing can happen without the basic infrastructure needs of such as access to water. So again, I commend all of you, all the way from our council delegates that are here, like Casey Johnson, to the Attorney General from my office. Not my office, my bit-to-bet actually works for me, so she's here. I know a lot of you know her, the Attorney General of the Navajo Nation Ethel Branch. I've seen her here earlier as well, the Water Resource Management team as well, and all the people that are associated with it. So again, I commend you for being here, and it's one of those things where as tribal leaders, we continue to make sure that we support our water experts. There's probably a lot of water experts in here, right? Can you all raise your hand? Yeah, look at that. Let's hear it for them. All right, there's the water buffalo. What about scientists? Is there plenty of scientists in here? All right, there you go. Let's hear it for them. They're the ones that are measuring, trying to figure out how things go. Our engineers? Any engineers? Hey, let's give a hey right there. All right. What about contractors? There's got to be at least one contractor in here. Any contractors? Oh, man. Okay. I guess I'll be the only former contractor up here. So again, and then all the people that care about water, raise your hand if you care about water. Hey, let's all hear it for yourselves. So with that, I just want to say thank you. Those will be my opening remarks. And thank you so much. Governor, go Devils, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Yes. Thank you. Well, it's hard to follow these two tribal leaders. But Skuk good morning. Anya Anap Chuga, Governor Stephen Earl Lewis, Amja Guaki, Sacaton, Gila River Indian Community. First of all, I want to acknowledge the great progress that President Nygren and his administration has made toward completing his historic settlement. We are, yes. The Gila River Indian Community, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary of our water settlement next week, which was the largest water settlement in U.S. history, which was also passed during a lame duck session of Congress. So I remain, President, ever hopeful that we will be celebrating the first anniversary of the Northern Arizona settlement next year. Now, as to the recent successes for the Gila River Indian community, for my people, We have had some great success in partnering with Reclamation on funding opportunities for water conservation and use, including some very innovative ones, like our solar-covered canal projects, the first project of its kind in the Western Hemisphere. These include our recently Phase 1 completion of our reclaimed water pipeline, which began last year construction, and we completed it this year. Mr. Dave DeYoung, who's the head of our Pima Maricopa irrigation project, probably the most successful water capital project, federal program going right now, and probably in history. So it is already, we're moving the needle already back on the Gila River Indian Community, what we call our Atham Juvat. It's already delivering water on our reservation, allowing us to increase our conservation of Colorado River water to Lake Mead. This is definitely a great success. We also recently broke ground on three major new infrastructure projects on our reservation, funded from the Bucket 2 funding, including our farm efficiency improvements, because historically, ancestrally, we were farmers, the Hoogam, and we still are farmers, and will be farmers, God willing. We will be farmers in the future as well. And a regulating reservoir and lining our canals, our regulating reservoir. We're looking also at floating solar panels in our regulating reservoir as well. So as part of these incredible efforts, we've expanded our solar panel over water infrastructure efforts, again, now to 4 projects, 1 completed and 3 under construction, which will move the Gila River Indian Community to almost halfway to our collective goal of a net zero ag economy. These are a few of the successes we've been able to have in responding to our greatest challenge, to everyone in this room and everyone in this region along the Colorado River, our collective greatest challenge, which is the mega drought that we're facing. Now, there are others, but I think the one that will have the most impact as we move forward is the creation of what I call the 38 Sovereigns Dialogue. Now, this was a concept developed by all the tribes in our basin, all the 30 tribes in our basin, pushed by all of us to have us all sit, as Chairman Hart said, sit at the same table. See, I know that the young baby over there, the young baby gets it already. That's our future that we're talking to right now. So sitting at the same table with the 7 basin states and the federal government to share information, ideas, and input in shaping what will happen next in our common response to all these efforts. Now, this is such an enormous step forward in bringing tribal voices and innovation to the table. So I think we will present one of our commonly shared opportunities, what we have been working at collectively in the coming months and years. Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing. Amazing themes coming out of there. The recognition of sovereignty, by the chant and the mantra we're hearing. Tribes have a seat at the table in the formation of things like the 30 Sovereign Dialogue, the Upper Basin Tribal State Dialogue, and the work that's been happening there. I also love the highlight of, you don't have your sticker, I hope you grab it before Navajo leaves, right? Free the Native American or Northern Arizona Indian Water Rights Settlement Act, and how we need everyone. This isn't just about Navajo, right? Contact your representative. Let's get this done and make history. Now, all that said, there still are some challenges though, and there still are, whether they're based in law, policy, or just lingering biases that we need to overcome. And so that's what I want to turn to now in our second half, and leave it to our leaders to address how the needs of their communities might have changed, what are some of the greatest challenges that still remain, and how do we overcome some of these barriers? What's needed? Do we need legislative action, like to get the water settlement done? Or is it other things that they're looking and targeting as we turn into the next year? And Chairman Hart, start with you again.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Today, the challenges we face is in our current water use in the Colorado River Basin for 40 million people. Today, we look at where we came from as we've looked at past CRWUA conferences. We always put up presentations on what it was like a long time ago, 100 years ago, when it first came in play for the interim guidelines for the Colorado River in 1922. 1924, tribes actually became U.S. citizens in this country. We were left out of the process in the beginning, and we've been asking and requesting over time to have a seat at the table. Almost 100 years later, we finally got that opportunity, and we're here. So we look at where we came from the past, and compare it to our annual use today. And we each try to justify, from small municipalities to big municipalities to states, upper basin, lower basin, 2 countries, and 30 tribes. 10 tribes on the Colorado River. We each have an important dialogue, important ideas, important visions of how we want to move forward in our uses. In my past comment where I said we want to become more self-sufficient, we do. So I take a step back and look at Bureau of Reclamation and the responsibility that they have. They have to look at the overall supply and demand. They have to look at tribes, they have to look at states, they have to look at the 2 countries. All these are sovereigns based on your Constitution in the Commerce Clause, recognizing sovereigns, 4 nations, states, and tribes. So how many is there? So you look at 50 states that they have to deal with across the United States. Look at the 2 countries we're working with, Mexico and Canada. Then you also look at the tribes, 574 federally recognized tribes in this country. So it becomes so complex and so hard to manage some of these things that are going on. Water being one of the most important one right now as one of the priorities for tribes. So as we start to look at how we justify some of our needs for our tribes, Navajo Nation, largest land-based tribe, still feel like they're in 3rd world country. No delivery systems. They're still hauling water. The quality of the water is pretty poor. If he brought this to our conference today and said, hey, there's a bucket over here, a big 50-gallon, the water that they're using, would you guys drink it? Would you guys utilize it? Do you have enough money to haul that water on an everyday basis, just for your agro portion? Same way with Gila River, as the quality of the water comes down this way. We have tribes from all the way up the mountain, all the way down in the Colorado River Basin. The quality of the water by the time it gets down here, the many uses and the things that have come into that river is the impact of these challenges. So where is the equity in all this that we're moving forward? Yes, we're finally coming to the seat at the table. We've been asking this, and now we want to partner. We want to reach out to each one of you, NGOs, municipalities, states. We can't keep kicking this can down the road. We come here every year to discuss this. Yes, we do have differences. Yes, we don't agree on some things, but we need to look at how we truly going to envision. Because if we don't, next year we're going to be talking about the same thing. And time is of the essence. Because right now the interim guidelines are coming in. We as tribes are wanting to propose some projects. As President and Governor mentioned, they've had successes in some of their projects that they put on. They've received money for certain things that meet their needs. We too, as Ute Mountain in the Upper Basin, and all the 6 tribes in the Upper Basin, and all 30 tribes in the Colorado River Basin, are looking toward that same equity in moving forward. So when we look at that, Carly yesterday done a presentation on alternatives, on options. We have to start looking at what the reality is today. We can talk about this and talk about this, but when are we going to actually move forward on it? That's what we as tribes face at times during consultation. We sit across the table, we talk with the people we're consulting with, these federal government agencies, and with states. But when does the action really come forward? When do we actually say, we agree, we're going to compromise, but I don't agree on that, or I disagree on that? We need to start moving forward in a way that we can really look at how we're going to be moving forward. Administration's going to change here. We're at the end of the calendar year, new administration's coming in. We have to have that diplomacy to sit down and talk about where we're heading. No matter what administration is in, I could be gone next year. President Wu can be gone in a couple years. Same way with governor. But the continuity and what's going on is something that we really need to look at and move forward on. So I would really appreciate, and if we could work together on how we look at things, the good and the bad, the pros and cons, the challenges of agreements, and during the disagreement, we have to each face these. We're each looking for current issues, whether it's big or small. Land bases are key. Some tribes are checkerboard, some are all trust, some are fee, but the access to clean water is something we all start looking for. So the challenges we face today is something that we really need to look at. We're each looking at our current uses, so therefore we look at equity, we say time is of the essence, but yet we have to come to where we continue to debate over our water concerns, and we will stop, and we should stop kicking this can down the road and keep our agenda and keep moving forward so that we won't have to talk about this again next year. So with that, thank you.
Yeah, Chairman Hart, for those words, and Governor Lewis as well. I know on behalf of the Navajo Nation, I just want to say thank you for each and every one of you's efforts to really help us get the northeastern Arizona Indian water right settlement moving forward. I want to commend the 7 basins for always coming together, all the water experts that are there to make sure that we can do what we can to try to get this piece of legislation before Congress. Unfortunately, I was hoping to come in today that we have some consensus, but there's one thing that we're still, one underlying issue that we're trying to resolve, and hopefully by Tuesday, we can make that consensus on Tuesday. So that's what my hope is that we can get that done by Tuesday, and I continue to encourage each and every one of you to continue to reach out to the 7 basin states, either for thank them for their support or continue to urge them to try to get this done for the Navajo Nation, because this is very historic. A lot of you know that we've been working on this for decades. I've been told that they've been working on it well before I was born, and so it'd be nice to get it done very soon. So again, with your help and your expertise, that we can get it across the table by Tuesday. As Governor mentioned, there's a lot of things moving in Congress this month, so if we can really have this attached somewhere along the lines with Congress to get this passed for the Navajo Nation, that would be very instrumental, because as I mentioned earlier, I grew up without water, grew up hauling water, and it's just a sad thing to see that our children, our people in the Navajo Nation, as Chairman Hart mentioned, continue to this day, they still struggle with the same things even I struggled with, and that wasn't too long ago, that only less than 20 years ago, I was still hauling water. I was still using some of those things. So again, I continue to want to say thank you for all the people that have been involved. Jean, Becky, Brandon, Evestein, John, JB, and Tom. I just want to say thank you for the work that you've done on this so far, and that we continue to make sure that we continue to have a full force effort to try to get this done by Tuesday. And then that way, again, Congress Christmas is coming up very soon. I know it's going to be very tough. So everything that we're trying to do, we're trying to get it done this coming week. So whatever we can do to really work together, be one team, and think about some of the struggles that our American people face. The Navajo Americans have really done whatever they can to be patriotic, to be there for our communities, for our nation, and let's just give them that opportunity to actually have legally access and dollars associated with infrastructure that's much needed on the Arizona side. So again, I want to commend all of you for working together, because I know that some of you, I did see you all in Colorado a couple of months ago, and I want to continue to thank you for your advocacy and to really come together. Let's come together as one, because there's a nation within a nation that's really asking for the basic needs of our community. We're not asking for much. We're asking for what's rightfully associated with where we live within the boundaries of the Navajo Nation, and let us be able to have an opportunity to plan for our future. As Governor Lewis mentioned earlier, I really, as I mentioned when we were at the water conference down in Arizona with Governor Hobbs, you and and Chairman as well from the Action Nation and yourself. Some of the projects they've been able to get done, like Action, they've been able to get water to their communities, economic development, like the potatoes, all the in and out, and now he's really Governor Lewis is pushing water on solar, and some of those opportunities that he's been able to do for his community. I really want to see that for the Navajo Nation. We've got some of the most beautiful lands across Arizona, in northern Arizona, and if we can have access to water, there's something that we can do for ourselves. As one of the things I truly believe in is that I'm very anti-poverty, because so many people continue to live with a couple $100 a month on the Navajo Nation. And if we can bring water, if we can bring some clarity, so they'll have opportunities to plan for themselves, and as leaders, as nations, we can work together so that there's jobs, there's opportunities, and there's a future for the generations that are yet to be born. So again, I want to commend you for being here, and I want to commend the tribal leaders up here and all the tribal leaders all in Arizona and across the Indian country that continue to reach out to my office and tell me, we're pulling for you. We really want the largest tribe in the country. We want the largest tribe in the country, the largest land-based tribe in the country to finally have access to water that they live right next to. And so again, with your help and your support, we're going to get that done. We're down to hours. And so I just want to commend all of us for being at the table too, because all the partners have been at the table. And I want to commend you for that, for not leaving the table. You're thinking about us. And this is one of those avenues that we can be successful together. And as mentioned, there's administration that's going to come in. We've got a Congress that's willing, is excited. All we got to do is come to consensus, and then we put it in Congress's hands, and then obviously it would be a great celebration to see President Biden sign off on that within the next couple of weeks as well too. So again, it's all in all of you's hands in here. That's why I want to commend you for being here at 8:30, because you all care. You all care about our Native people, our American people, and you're here to figure out how do we come up with that collective solution so that we can bring the basic needs that are needed among Navajo and the other tribal communities. So again, I want to commend you for that. And so I believe that's our biggest challenge on the Navajo Nation, is being able to plan for the future. You can't plan for the future without a certain amount of water for us as well. So again, for being here and for the support that you continually give the Navajo. And so thank you.
Thank you, President Nygren.
So my late paternal grandfather, he was one of the first Native American ordained ministers. So I'm going to preach a little bit. I'm going to preach the gospel of water. So for the community, obviously the greatest challenge we're facing is how do we respond to our common challenge of the drought. I'm sure you saw in yesterday's presentation by Tom Bushatsky that the community is on the front line in this, with up to 50% of our water at risk. Now that's indeed a challenge, but as I think all the leaders in the Lower Basin State panel pointed out yesterday, the basin has in the past consistently responded with consensus and common purpose, proving that in all challenges there's always an opportunity, a path forward. What is troubling to me is why we're not seeing more genuine efforts at building consensus, as Chairman Hart eloquently just said. Why are my sister tribes being stymied in their efforts to get the consensus they need to move forward with their settlements? What's causing this? Whatever it is, whether distrust or negotiation tactics, whatever, right? We all have to try to confront the challenge and move forward. Failure is not an option, as they say, so let's just get on with it. For our part, we're trying to build new consensus by floating new proposals, the Gila River Indian community, that we believe benefit all in the basin, upper and lower. Ideas like our federal protection pool, which will allow tribes in the upper basin for the first time to be compensated for their water entitlements and to use those entitlements for a public purpose that benefits all. Now, I'm not worried about the next administration, as some have otherwise indicated. The Trump administration delivered a DCP, as we all remember, and I remain hopeful that they will help us finish this journey that we're on for those new guidelines. I'm also not worried about Congress stepping up and providing the new authority and funding that we may need to implement the kinds of ideas that we see are necessary, like the federal protection pool. All that is possible. All that is possible if we as a region, as partners, can, I'll use another term, maybe from I think, one of the best poets of the last century, the late James Brown. If we can get over our bad selves and get to work to build the consensus that we need, that's our biggest challenge. And that is what we need to do, in my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So a lot of hope, but a lot of work that still needs to be done. And I think that includes everyone in this room, whether you're Native or not. You are a partner, you are a potential mentor to our regrowing and indigenizing youth out there. And so that's what I want to end on is, yesterday at the litigation panel, Bida talked about the impact that one man has had, Justice Gorsuch, and showing how just one person can cause such a large ripple effect and facilitate change. And so, in this time I have to be careful because we're really close on time now. In a minute or under, share what do you want our audience to take away with? What can they do walking out of here to give us a better future?
Thank you. My closing point today is we've come a long ways. We have a long ways to go. And the only way we can move forward is to become one. When we do our prayers, we pray for everyone, our families, especially now during the holidays. And we hope that everything will be good in their homes, their health, their finances, and extended families, wherever they may be. But also in the prayers, we talk about the wildlife. They are strengths for us. They help us in our ceremonies. They help us move forward as tribes. But each one of you could also have a strength of wherever you come from, your ethnic background. But also praying for water. Water's life for everything. Everything we talk about, everything we put on the table. So we have to develop something. So I guess my closing words to each one of you is change is coming. Change is inevitable. It's on the way, and we need to know how it's going to meet the needs of our future water demand. So I was listening to a friend of mine, and he got a quote. So I leave this quote with you. Change comes at the speed of trust. Do we trust each other enough to help move forward in this dire time of not enough supply to meet the demand? As you look at economic development everywhere in the region and across this country, in our region specifically in the Colorado River Basin, we just don't have enough supply. And we need to look at how can we help move forward in a good way through change that benefits each and every one of us. Do we trust each other to move in that direction? So change comes at the speed of trust. So I leave you with that. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you and the leaders that are on here at this table as well. The main message, as I mentioned earlier, is whatever you can do to help us, support us to get consensus by Tuesday. Because the best way I can, since he got me thinking about football, is that we're at the 1 yard line. And what's first and goal, we've got 30 seconds left in the game. And the game's going to be over. It's going to be reset in January. The Congress is going to be different. The leadership's going to be different. But we're at first and goal, and we need consensus so that the center can actually hike the ball and give it to us. And then we can win the game. And win it not for us, but win it for our communities. Because in Navajo, we always say the five-fingered people. That includes each and every one of you. We're all five-fingered human beings created by the Creator so that we can work together, to be as one unit, to be as one people, one nation, move forward. So again, let's reach that consensus. Let's get a win for our people, our Navajo people, our American people, and then at the same time be successful in one unit as well. So Tuesday, let's reach consensus, reach out to your friends, your relatives, and even if we can really, I know you guys all know a lot of people in high places, so reach out to them and ask them, let's get consensus for the Navajo people, the Navajo Nation. Let's get that Northeastern Arizona water rights settlement to Congress so that they can do what they need to do. So again, I just want to say thank you on that part, and thank you for all the champions that are in this room, because I know it's been very difficult. There's a reason why it's been talked about for decades, and there's a reason why that we're almost ready to get it done. So again, I commend each and every one of you. Let's get consensus by Tuesday with your help, support, and I want to say thank you to our tribal leaders for supporting me as well, supporting the Navajo Nation. And so that because at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all people of God. We're all people that really deserve the basic needs of what we need in our community. So let's work together, be supportive, and as mentioned, with the trust, because we got to trust one another to actually help and support each other. So with that, I want to say thank you so much on behalf of the Navajo people, on behalf of the Navajo Nation, and very high hopes that on Tuesday we can wake up with some really good news, or maybe even this weekend. So it might get done sooner. So I just want to say thank you, and be blessed. Safe travels wherever you go. Go back to and take care of one another. Okay.
I want to recognize two of our community council members that are here, Councilman Joe Manuel Jr. and Councilman Avery White as well. I think it's important that we acknowledge our leadership that comes with us as well and supports us in doing all of these important works. But I think we all know that in 2025, this is going to be a pivotal and challenging year for all of us. I think we all know that. My proposed takeaway for each leader here, each leader in this room, is to challenge yourselves as to whether you are doing enough to build the trust and partnership that we're going to need to succeed next year. From what I've seen so far this year, the report card is not that great, and we can all do better. I can do better. Each one of us can do better. I hope that you all can take that to heart and ask yourselves, as I do every day, as I know my fellow tribal leaders do every day, am I doing everything I can to find a solution to what is, to us, an almost existential crisis that is before us? I know I'll be making that effort, and I hope you all will be too. Thank you so much, Mosapo.
Okay, one last round for our panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather, for such a heartfelt and spirit-filled dialogue. Thank you, Governor, Chairman, President. Another round of applause, please.